Good morning and welcome to Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. I'm Shawn DeKnight. Sheriff, we are talking today about, I know this effort has been one of the ones that we have encouraged our community to wrap their arms around because it's so important. We're talking about the Council on the Status of Men and Boys.
And a conversation we should have with every citizen out there, and that's why this program is so important today. You know, we started the Council on Status Men and Boys based on what we learned in our community with the research we've done. We did called The Anatomy of a Homicide. And that report, I mean, I hope everybody in our community's read it, and it's been out there for about 3 years now. Yes. And what it told us was that our kids, primarily those kids in the neighborhood from about 14, 15 up to adults, young adults, about 25, 26 years of age, and those are the persons who are being killed and are victims of crime in our community. And what we learned is that there are opportunities for us to get in those spaces and have interventions with those kids. They also come from the same zip code, that is the same communities. And what do they have in common in those communities? Those are communities where we have lack of resources. Yes. We have lack of family support systems. Many of those families are husbands and wives who are single parents, right, and which creates an entire degree of stress and lack of coordination with those young'uns in our community. And what we got to do is make sure that we're dealing with our young kids and making sure that we're putting our resources in the right place. And to be honest with you, this isn't about this law enforcement issue, but it's not about locking people up. No. We will do our job in terms of locking people up, but what we've got to do is get our community to support our efforts to have interventions on the front end. And I've said 1,000 times, more money we can put on the front end, the less money we're putting into jails and prisons and arresting people.
Well, and I think, you know, what we hear from the community so much whenever there is a shooting or something that happens, it's, you know, stop the violence. But this didn't happen overnight, and I think, you know, we have to get everyone in the mindset that this is a process.
It absolutely is, Shawn, and I've tried to get that message out for a number of years, and that is, if kids are being born into communities or into homes where the parent's not there, the mother is trying to work 3 or 4 jobs, there's no man, there's no support system, they're living from one meal to the next, trying to figure out where it comes from. You should not be surprised that that circumstance is going to result in that child, that family being in distress, and when they're in distress, that means they put stress on us, and that is they steal from other people. They go out and rob, they steal cars, trying to survive. Right. And that's something we can all have a hand in. I love our community. We are always talking about how Tallahassee Leon County is different than other places. Well, here's an opportunity for us, our clergy, our schools, our law enforcement, our leadership in the government, all of us coming together around this issue so that we can bring some redress to it and make sure it doesn't happen generation after generation, which I've seen for 40 years, the same families being trapped in this loop of not having enough services and not being able to get out.
Well, we're going to really break this down in today's show. We've got our executive director for the council here, Royal King, and he's going to tell us more about what they've been up to for the last 2.5 years.
Looking forward to that conversation.
Absolutely. So you want to stick around. Coming up after the break, it's our community-wide effort to stop gun violence. More on the strategy next.
Good morning, I'm Deputy Davis Clark with Leon County Sheriff's Office School Resource Unit, here with your Safety Tip Tuesday.
If you plan on going to the beach during this spring break, follow these tips to stay safe. Be sure to read and know what the different beach flags mean. A sunburn can happen fast at the beach. Protect yourself from the harmful rays of the sun by wearing sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat. Remember to bring and drink plenty of water to stay hydrated. Always be sure to swim in front of a lifeguard and in water that is waist deep or less. Be aware of rip current conditions, do not enter unsafe waters, and know how to escape a rip current should you find yourself caught in one. If you can hear thunder, see lightning, or if a storm is approaching, get out of the water and get off the beach.
And that's your safety tip. Have a great day.
an email from the post office. How do they even know my email address?
They don't. This is a bogus email sent by scammers that looks like it is coming from the Postal Service, or even the Postmaster General himself. The email contains fraudulent information about an attempted or intercepted package delivery, and provides a link to click on to find out when delivery is expected. But that click can activate a virus, which can steal personal information such as usernames, passwords, or financial account numbers stored on the computer or mobile devices. Here are some telltale signs that an email is bogus. It contains poor grammar or spelling errors. It states that immediate action must be taken or there'll be dire consequences. It requests personal information under the guise of reconfirming information. The Postal Service does not notify customers about package delivery attempts by email. If you receive such a message, don't open it. Instead, forward it to spam@uspis.gov and then delete the email.
A 19-second conversation with a stranger online can put your child in danger of being exploited or abused.
Talking to kids about online safety can protect us for a lifetime. Don't wait. Talk to us today.
Welcome back. The Council on the Status of Men and Boys is kicking their efforts into a high gear. Joining us now is Executive Director Raul King. Raul, tell us about your career, and then tell us how you got into this position at being the Director of the Council on Status of Men and Boys.
Yeah, so I got to go back to my teen years, and that's why this work is so special to me. I had an opportunity to participate in 2 mentoring programs that changed my life, and it showed me the opportunities that exist for young men and women when we pour into them. And I consider myself to be blessed because I grew up in a 2-parent household, but we lived in, a high-risk neighborhood. And so I got to see it on both sides, the impact that parenting can have, but also the lack when the community doesn't step in to fill the void, how people's lives can turn out. And, with some of my friends who ended up incarcerated or dead. And so for me, it's we call it heart work. Okay. And I wanted to create something from those experiences, from what I got, but also some things that were missing that I knew I needed in that developmental area time that I just wasn't open to talking about. And so at any rate, started a program called Omega Lamplighters when I was fairly young, and it's become a pretty successful young men's mentoring program. And then when this opportunity came to have greater impact on our community and dealing directly with those at the greatest risk, I couldn't pass on that opportunity to come be a part of the LCSO family.
Well, we're glad you're here, man. Talk about, for a minute, what exactly is the mission of the Council on Status Men and Boys?
So in the simplest form, the Council's mission is to develop solutions and identify resources to address the gun violence, but then also those disparities that lead to gun violence and non-fatal shootings for men and boys in our community. So the council has been in existence for about 3 years, and what have you guys done in that span of time? So one of the biggest things was develop a gun violence reduction plan for our community, the Tallahassee and Leon County gun violence reduction strategic plan, which outlines really 5 strategies: focused deterrence, community engagement, prevention, research review, and then employ the review panel. And the biggest of those strategies is the first 3, that focused deterrence, which is the way in which we identify those at the highest risk of being offenders or actors of gun violence in our community. And so a part of that is the call-in meeting, which we just had our recent one, which was a really large turnout because they have an option to attend. But identifying those at greater risk, those are areas that are at great risk, and trying to be involved in them as much as possible to support everyone in that area. So we can't only identify the issues that the individuals who are involved in gun violence, because it's still a cycle. So their families and the individuals they're connected to. So if we're not involved in those areas and in their families, then we're going to just end up with a continuing cycle. So that is a big part of it: engaging the community, understanding whether the needs and some of the opportunities to act some solutions in some of those areas where we're seeing a lot of crime. And then that prevention part, which is kind of get in front of it before so we don't have to do focused deterrence forever. Right. Is looking at some of those things that are indicators for what may be to come and trying to intervene before it becomes something we gotta alert to the law enforcement level.
So what kind of foundation have you laid with respect to going forward that's going to address some of these issues in terms of gun violence?
So a couple of things. We're a small but mighty team. We're involved in the schools. We work closely with the school resource deputies and community-based organizations. And there are a lot of opportunities in that where we're identifying who are those individuals who need the support, and in the detention center, identifying those individuals and their families, and then providing them and connecting them to those supports. It's been one of the biggest areas in which we've been able to see some success, and now trying to make a bigger imprint on the community and bringing in more organizations to help support that work.
Okay. Well, Roll, I think you guys have done a good job. I can't say how much I appreciate the job. But coming up next, Hitting the Streets, details on how the council heads into neighborhoods to make major impacts. Stay tuned.
I'm a firefighter.
A teacher.
I'm a farmer.
I'm a barber.
A waitress.
A mom.
We're all part of your community.
Every day we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when you experience a moment of uncertainty. Something or someone's behavior that doesn't seem quite right.
These are the moments to take a pause.
Because if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not.
It's not about paranoia
or being afraid.
It's about standing up and protecting our communities.
One detail at a time.
Because a lot of little details can become a pattern.
We
trust our instincts.
Just like you should.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Human trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America.
Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was a victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me. I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
At the Florida Sheriff's Association, we are able to serve our sheriffs and Floridians thanks to our member support. The FSA Member Perks program was created to give back to our members for all that they do. Members enjoy savings on restaurants, vacations, golf courses, car rentals, healthcare, movie tickets, theme parks, online shopping, and more. With over 300,000 offers, you'll always find ways to save. To learn more or to join the Florida Sheriff's Association, visit fsamemberperks.org.
A 19-second conversation with a stranger online can put your child in danger of being exploited or abused.
Talking to kids about online safety can protect us for a lifetime. Don't wait. Talk to us today.
Welcome back. We're back with Roll King, Executive Director of the Council on the Status of Men and Boys. Our efforts to stop gun violence. Roll King, talk to us about the training and the planning you all have in terms of what our next steps are in terms of fighting this gun violence.
So we got a couple of things. We're actively working on a community-wide training that is gonna, for individuals that are in high crime neighborhoods, that is gonna give them an opportunity to be equipped with some of those skills to be able to not be what they call them interrupters or superheroes or in a sense, but to start to look at some of the things that they're seeing in their communities to be able to bring those up, for us to look at solutions at a little higher level with local elected officials and the resources available to make some headway within some of the things that we're seeing. So we're looking at doing this in summer, in June, a big community-wide, bringing in some individuals from California who've done trainings, and one of our navigators actually did the training. But to equip some of that, because we're small, but our community is large, and so we can equip some of the members of our community in these areas with some tools in their toolkit, it'll allow us to have much more success in reducing some of the violence. So we're excited about that. We've got a listening session planned for March 26th in the Frenchtown area at Lawrence Gregory. So us and some of the organizations we're partnering with will be doing some door knocking, but it's really geared toward young people, because a lot of the violence we've seen, and when I say young, that's under 30. So it's not, 12, but as young as 12. And going to bringing them in. We're going to have some support for families on site, daycare support while we're doing this, and just really hearing from them, how can we better support everyone in the needs of those in the gun violence communities, which unfortunately a lot of time high poverty at the same time.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think our community wants to know about is what kind of progress we're making. Are we actually getting these kids off the streets? And so are there any testimonials you got out there that can give us some idea of how we're impacting kids?
Yeah, so we've got a couple. And one of them, one of the biggest things, we started in the schools with anatomy, with individuals who'd been expelled based off that data, and we're at Gasvini Alternative School. And so it was said before we started working there 3 years ago that it's rare that you get a kid out of Gasvini back into their regular home zone school without any significant issues where they end up back at Gasvini. And so far, we've had about 16 young men go from Gasvini back to their home school and either graduate out of Leon County schools and not return yet to second chance or success. And so that's really powerful because they're at their home school, and I don't want to say it's not without fault in that they're perfect. I mean, we're having smaller things, but none of the issues that got them expelled, no new significant referrals. And so we're really proud of that and getting them out. And some of them, in that process had to go to the JDC Juvenile Detention Center or a program, but even still through that process of us working with them, they've not gone back. And so that's really big. And it's still a small number of our population, but it's steps showing us that if we can duplicate this, we can continue to kind of have that similar success. And it won't be all of them now. We've had some kids that we were working with, unfortunately, who had to go to the detention center as an adult, but hadn't stopped us from continuing to impact those who were willing to take the opportunity.
We've got about a minute left, so in about that span of time, can you tell us, what does this look like in 10 years?
Well, for me, I would like for us to be so good at this from the focused deterrence standpoint that we're not even having the number of individuals is so small that all of our efforts are geared towards prevention, that we have a system in place where we are working with young people, VPK all the way up, right? And we know that they're not committing gun violence that young, but the opportunities for them to enter that life start there. And so that we get so good at this with our community that we don't have to have, when you have a shooting in Tallahassee, it's a huge outcry, as opposed to where now it's almost like people are getting numb to it. We want them
30 seconds, how can the citizens out there help?
They can get involved, attend the listening session with us on March 26th at Lawrence Gregory. Visit our website, councilmenandboys.org, and make sure you sign up when the information comes out for that training this summer in June. It's going to be really good.
Thank you, Roy. Really appreciate you. Up next in our Deputy on Duty, LCSO detectives go undercover to help stop human trafficking. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, it's going to be just plain hot out there.
In 70-degree weather, it takes only minutes for the inside of your car to heat up like an oven. At 104 degrees, heat stroke begins, followed by loss of consciousness. Every year, almost 40 children die of heat stroke after being forgotten in a vehicle. A simple change in daily routine is often the cause. Look before you lock. Brought to you by Kids in Cars.
A 19-second conversation with a stranger online can put your child in danger of being exploited or abused.
Talking to kids about online safety can protect us for a lifetime. Don't wait. Talk to us today.
In this edition of Deputy on Duty, the Leon County Sheriff's Office is continuing the fight against sex trafficking and exploitation.
Name's Detective Nick Kelly, and I'm in the Special Investigations Unit that focuses on cases of human trafficking, sex, and labor.
LCSO has been at the forefront of several major operations tackling sex crimes and exploitation, with their latest initiative being Operation Resolution.
So Operation Resolution was an two-day operation we conducted in January of 2025 and resulted in 19 arrests with numerous contacts with individuals for various crimes.
Through the Capital City Human Trafficking Task Force, this multi-agency operation was successful.
So it's comprised of our local and federal partners in combating human trafficking within Leon County. So we have Homeland Security Investigations, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and then Leon County Sheriff's Office.
Sex trafficking can be hard to fully grasp because of misconceptions often fueled by TV. It's not always about kidnappers, says Detective Kelly. Many times it's the buyers driving the crime.
So many of them don't realize, we consider them the sex buyers, that they do play a critical role in human trafficking, specifically sex trafficking. They are the ones that are putting the money directly into the sex traffickers' pockets and fueling the industry. Without the sex buyer, that we think we could combat human trafficking a lot more effectively if we make that message clear that we will not stand for sex buyers and human trafficking.
And then there's the vulnerability of victims you have to take account for.
And a lot of these individuals don't wake up and choose this lifestyle to engage in prostitution or even being a victim of human trafficking. A lot of these individuals either are currently or previously a victim of human trafficking through force, fraud, and coercion. And of those groups, several have been victims of human trafficking, sex, or labor as a minor.
There's no clear sign of what the victims will look like, but if anything is suspicious, say something.
Majority of the time when we see is these individuals are reluctant to speak to law enforcement. They come across anxious, nervous, sometimes fearful with law enforcement contact. And other signs are that they appear malnourished or bruised, sexually, physically abused, sometimes even branded or tattoos specifically of their sex trafficker, whether it's through a name or initials.
Similar to victims, the perpetrators of these crimes come from all walks of life.
So the sex buyers, same thing as victims. There's no discrimination. You know, the sex industry as a whole, they come from all walks of life, different socioeconomic statuses, different communities within our community itself. So there is no one-size-fits-all for those individuals.
With 49 contacts for solicitation, 80 contacts for human trafficking of juvenile victims, and multiple ongoing investigations, we are proud to continue the fight against sex trafficking and exploitation.
To show that we're serious about human trafficking, it's something that we've been dedicated to. Our unit focuses solely on sex and labor trafficking, and with this operation showing the community that this is just one aspect of how we're going to combat human trafficking within Leon County, and showing that any part still plays a part in sex trafficking.
If you'd like to make a difference in your community, visit our website at leoncountyso.com. For Leon County Today, I'm Giovanni Hampton.
Download the Leon County Sheriff's Office mobile app right now. Our mobile app makes it easier than ever to report a crime and get important safety alerts. And follow reported crimes in your neighborhood, all in one convenient location in the palm of your hands. Download LCSO Connect right now. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play by searching LCSO Connect. You can more details about the features of the app on our website, leoncountyso.com.
A 19-second conversation with a stranger online can put your child in danger of being exploited or abused.
Talking to kids about online safety can protect us for a lifetime. Don't wait. Talk to us today.
Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Leon County Today. Sheriff, hearing from our detectives who work so hard in these undercover operations to really try to put a stop to human trafficking is an educational tool.
It absolutely is, and most people don't understand the nature of these transactions, the fact that our deputies and those persons on the other end, our deputies are looking for people who are being basically trafficked. And most of these folks that we are arresting are engaging in crimes that are facilitated beyond the sex component of it. It's trafficking, and these women don't know, and many times can't say no to the circumstance they're in. And so we got to do an education thing in our community to let people know exactly what this is about. We wouldn't be spending our time out there simply trying to arrest people who are engaged in sex. We're trying to make sure these people aren't trafficked and aren't being victimized, and in many cases being killed because of the circumstance they find themselves in. So we've got to do some education, and but we hope our citizens understand that Tallahassee, Leon County, we will not allow that to be something that becomes a trade in this community. We have trafficking in terms of labor trafficking that we've been working on tremendously hard, and this just steps in those spaces. So being there, hanging there with us, we will get this right, and we'll make sure that people out there that want to hurt our people get arrested, and those that aren't involved in crime don't have anything to worry about from the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
All right, thank you so much, Sheriff. And we also need you all to get involved with the Council on Status of Men and Boys and help those efforts as well. All right, we'll see you here next week.